kind of how these go. So we're going to go with solving systems by substitution. Really?
Yeah.
Sweet. Okay, that's awesome because I think solving them by systems is one of the harder ways. Solving systems by substitution, it's a lot of S's, is one of the harder. I think, personally, I think this is the hardest way to solve them. Okay? So, step one when we do these, we either have to solve one equation for either x or for y. We need to either have x by itself or we need to have y by itself in order for this to work. Okay? Step two, we are going to substitute, that's why it's called substitution. We're going to substitute that expression into the other equation, and we're going to solve the variable. Okay, once we have one variable, we can then go back and substitute or plug in your answer into the revised equation from step one, and we're going to solve for that variable. All right, so that brings us to the really fun stuff. I have y equals 6x, and I have 2x plus 3y equals negative 20. Now, do I already have one equation that is either y equals or x equals? Yes, my top equation, right? My top equation is y equals 6x. Okay? Now, since this is what y equals, I'm going to take it and I'm going to plug it in for y. So 2x plus 3 times, what am I plugging in for y now? 6x equals negative 1. Okay, so 2x plus 18x equals negative 20. 2x plus 18x? 20x equals negative 20, so x is negative 1. Good. So now we have x. What else do we need? Now we need y. So I'm going to take this x and I'm going to plug it in to my first equation to figure out what y is. Because it's going to be y equals 6 times what's x? Negative 1. Or y equals negative 6. Now I have to write this as a point. Remember, points are always x, comma, y. So my point is going to be careful. There you go, negative 1, comma 6. Make sure it's in parentheses, okay, so that I know that it's an ordered pair of a point that you're solving. I can fix that. Negative 6. Good job. So far, so good? All right. All right, and number 2, do I have an x equals or a y equals? Yep. I do. I have a y equals, right? Again, so I'm going to take that x plus 9, and I'm going to plug it in for what? I'm going to plug it in for y. So 3x plus 8 times, now what am I putting in for y? X plus 9 equals negative 5. So now I have to go through and solve it. So 3x plus 8x plus 72 equals negative 5. So 3x plus 8x, 11x equals negative. Yep, I'm going to have to subtract my 72, right? So negative 5, what is it? Negative 77. Now I can divide by my 11. X is -7, yep. And now what do I do with that x? I'm going to plug it in. So y equals -7 plus 9. So y is, oh, careful, +2, there you go. So the point that this creates is -7 times 2. Yep, because points, remember, in ordered pairs are always x, comma, y. Okay, so x always comes first, y always comes second. All right, so number 3. Do I have one of my equations solved? I have my top equation again, but this time it's solved for what? This time it's solved for x. So what am I plugging it in for? This time I got to plug it in for x instead of for y, because it's x equals, not y equals. So I have 2 times what's going in for x? 4y plus 7 minus 6y equals 12. So I have 8y plus 14 minus 6y equals 12. So what do I have for y's? 2y. Move your 14 over. 2y equals -2. So y is -1. Good job. Now where is that going? No, it's going in for y, yep. So x equals 4 times -1 plus 7. 4 times -1? -4 plus 7 is? Which one? +3, there you go. Alright, so now we gotta be a little careful when we write our point. What comes first? 3, there you go. 3, -1. This is going to be our point. Alright, so now on number 4. A few people are still right in number 3, but in number 4, do I have x equals or y equals? I don't. Okay, so we need to get one of them to solve for. Which one do you think is going to be easier to solve for, the top one or the bottom one? The bottom one, because I already have just a plain old y in the bottom, right? So what do you think we're going to solve for in the bottom one? Y, yeah. So how am I going to solve for y in the bottom one? Alright, so we're going to -2x and -2x. And I have y equals 2x plus 9. Now this is now what's going to go in for y in my other equation. Okay, and this is the part where I think it gets to be a little bit more confusing when you're solving so many different equations. Okay, so if I set this one up, I've got 2x. Be careful, put it minus 3 times what's going in? 2x plus 9 equals -11. So there you go, 2x plus 6x, because we've got negative times a negative, and then what is it going to be? Good, minus 27, because we've got that -3 going to the +9. Good job. Equals -11. So 8x equals 16. Good job. And x is 2. Okay, and once I have x, I can plug it in this guy right here. So y equals -2 times 2 plus 9. -2 times 2? -4 plus 9? Y equals 5. My solution point is 2.5. All right, let's look at number 6. Okay, so number 6, what do you want to solve for? X. Solve for x in which equation are you going to solve for x? The top one, yeah. So if I'm going to solve for x in the top one, what do I have to do? Minus 5y minus 5y. So x equals negative 5y plus 4. Plus 4. All right. I'm going to box that up and I'm going to put them in for put them in brackets. So 3 times negative 5y plus 4 plus 15y equals negative 1. So when I distribute, what do I get? Negative 15y plus 12 plus 15y equals negative 1. What happens to my y's? My y's cancel each other out. And I have 0y. So 12 equals negative 1. Is that true or is that false? False. That's false. 12 doesn't equal negative 1. So what would I write? No solution. No solution. And that means that my lines are what? Parallel lines. Good job. Okay, what would happen if my y's canceled out and let's say I get 5 equals 5? Yeah, that one's going to be true, and that one's going to be infinitely many solutions, because that means that the lines are on top of each other. Yep, the same line. Okay, let's do, somebody pick a number. 17. What does this even go that high? Sorry, 9. 11. I'm here at 11. Alright, so, ooh, great idea. I have 2 that are in y equals. Who did that? Okay, alright, so this is how we're going to solve it. We're going to box up my top y equals. What am I putting it in for? Y. So I'm going to put it in right here. I've got 4x minus 1 equals 2x minus 5. So now I can go ahead and solve. I can subtract my 2x over there. I'm going to add my 1 over here. I get 2x equals negative 4. So x is negative 2. Plug them in. 4 times negative 2 is negative 8. Oh my gosh! Excuse me. That's so funny. Negative 8 is negative 8 minus 1? Negative 9. There you go. So my point is negative. Ooh, sorry to anybody that is absent today and has to watch that video. One thing I want to talk about, just first I want to see if there's even a problem up here in the linkets. I don't think there is. There's not. Okay, are we good? Yeah. You want to try some?